Applied Materials. The information age starts here.
Hello, I'm Annette Benning. Long before I did my first play or made my first movie in Hollywood, I knew I wanted to be an actress. For me, it started with playing pretend when I was a kid, and then in the 6th grade, my entire class performed The Three Little Pigs in Spanish. By high school, I was doing plays regularly. The rehearsals, the camaraderie with my fellow actors, the exhilaration of live performance. It changed my life. This television show is about a stage production that changed people's lives in a very profound way. Together, we will follow the story of a children's theater group in San Jose, California, and see how they turned a website for children dealing with serious illness and disability into an inspiring and uplifting new musical. We call it Pulse.
Just like that snow upon that mountain top, our friendship will exist, it will never stop. Traveling on, making changes, things don't disappear, they just rearrange. And the journey is a circle, and it never really ends. And just like that circle, we'll always be friends.
Condemned to be all by myself till the day I die. When Doc opened my chest up, the fear it was mind-numbing. But the meds I took and my body shook. They tasted awful, but I must admit, without them I would be one more fatality. So I'm just glad to take them, I'll never quit.
But before there was Pulse the musical, there was Convo Mania, the website. In 1996, Apple Computer wanted to create an online community for kids living with illnesses and disabilities. Alan Brightman was in charge of Apple's Worldwide Disability Solutions Group and one of the founders of the Convo Mania website.
So initially, our goal was to build a place on the web where these kids could come together and hang out, basically, and talk to each other like kids. So they wouldn't be missing, at least, other companionship. And we ran with this idea for about 3 or 4 months on the web. And then the kids told us what a huge mistake we were making. What the kids said to us was, if you really want to help us, you have to understand that there's plenty of places on the web where we can go to be treated like kids. But what there isn't any of is a place on the web where we can go to be treated like sick kids, which is what we are.
To ensure children in need had access to Convo Mania, Apple sent computer equipment and training personnel to Ronald McDonald houses, cancer camps, and hospitals across the United States. The gateways to Convo were in place, and the website caught on.
Checked it out at first. I said, the kids all seem pretty young. And then a couple people my age started writing me back and talking about their experiences. And I pretty soon found out that, that was going to be my support system. And, at that point, I was really suicidal. I was really depressed. I was really overwhelmed. And I probably would have dropped out of school, if not killed myself, if I hadn't have had this outlet of support.
Daniela has lupus, an autoimmune system disease which occurs most often in young women. She was 14 years old and a sophomore in high school when she was first diagnosed with the chronic illness. Lupus brings with it debilitating joint and muscle pain. Medications can ease some of the physical distress, but side effects like nausea and depression create a new set of problems.
Convo has really affected my life in a positive manner that's just given me not only a will to live, but also it allows me to help other people, and that's where I've gotten a lot of my strength. When I can help others, when I can help younger kids and people my own age, it gives me a lot of strength and makes me feel like I do still have a place even if I can't get out of my bedroom for the day. I can still touch somebody's life, and that's really important for me.
It was a place to have fun. I met these people. It was a place that I could have fun, relax, and have a decent conversation with someone about anything. I've met people in Germany and a lot in California, some around here in Florida, and it's just really a crazy bunch.
Matt was 11 when he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, a type of cancer that attacks the lymph nodes. He has undergone years of treatment, and his cancer is now in remission. Matt discovered the website when he was at a summer camp for kids with cancer. He became a regular visitor to the site, or a convo maniac, as they call themselves.
So they started very early on sharing information with us that not only do you not find in the pediatric textbooks, but that which began in some cases to really anger their own doctors, because we would get a reaction from some doctors around the country who would say, hold it, I don't want my patients to get information from anyone else but me. And yet the kids were saying to us, but I need to know from someone else like myself what this feels like. Will it really hurt? Because kids had discovered, their hospital experiences had taught them in the main that people lie a lot. People say, don't worry, Billy, this won't hurt, when it does.
Mike is another young man who turned to Convo to help him through a very difficult illness. When he was 16, doctors found a tumor in his leg, and he was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a type of bone cancer. It usually starts as a tumor in the muscle, which then works its way into neighboring bones. At that time, Mike had a total knee replacement, but the next year, a second tumor appeared in the same area. Doctors recommended amputating his knee at mid-thigh.
When they found out that I had a second tumor in my leg, I went ahead and decided in the recovery room that I wanted it amputated. Now I've been in remission for about 8 months. I'm walking with a prosthetic leg now, and things are going pretty well.
Convo Nation gives sick and disabled kids their life back. And it gives them the ability to feel normal and see themselves as normal.
Amelia was 19 and had just finished her first year in college when she was also diagnosed with osteosarcoma. Amelia was in the middle of her chemotherapy treatments when she discovered the website.
I had just gotten out of ICU and was staying there before I could go home. And I kind of wandered into they have a computer room there that's all set up by donations. And I wandered in, and the volunteer in there, Mary Barron, was like, oh, you look like you're old enough to get online. She's like, do you know what the internet is? And I said, I've heard of email, but I don't have a computer. And so little by little they worked with me. They tried to set up my old computer, but it didn't work out. And so then they were able, through sponsorships and things, to get me a computer, and it turned out to be a laptop. So that way I was able to take it to the hospital with me and to wherever I went. And then they were able to also get me an email account. And then they showed me, where the website was and how to chat, and everything kind of grew from there. And they kind of follow each other's lives, almost like, best friends. And they confide in each other when they have a medical test coming up, and they complain about nurses, they complain about doctors, or they come in, they say how cool their doctor is. Well, he gave me his home phone number. How come you don't have your doctor's home phone number?
I actually made a lot of friends at the website. One of them actually is the best friend who lives around the corner from me. He had cerebral palsy when he was young, and I figured I'd tell him how to get on Convo, and he's been a pretty big part of it since.
And there's a yearbook on the web's page, and so the kids get to see, what the other kids look like. The big thing, exchanging pictures is a huge thing for the kids. And, I know how many dogs or cats the kids have, and their younger brothers or sisters' names, and it's kind of nice. It's much more of a family. It's a huge family online is what it's become.
Convo was becoming the online community Athol and Alan Brightman had hoped for. And at its center was the chat room. Here, kids could talk to each other freely, and anyone could jump in with a question or comment, that is, once they got the hang of it. A chat room has its own rules, its own language, its own etiquette. Not always easy for a first-timer to decipher. Those encounters and all their chaos were revealed in our first number from the musical. This song is called Chat Nation. did the website turn into a musical? From the very beginning, Alan Brightman wanted the site to have a place for kids to express their thoughts. He approached San Jose Children's Musical Theater to help develop it. SJCMT is the largest children's theater in the country, and Kevin Hauge is their artistic director. Kevin remembers the day Brightman approached him with his unusual proposal.
We're going to write about kids. We're going to write about kids who have faced serious illness, and it's going to be a musical. and of course, as you can imagine, people were like, okay, well, that's wow, okay, wow. I'll get my tickets right away on that one, you know.
Kevin may have been laughing, but he was 100% on board.
5, 6, ready?
SJCMT created an online interactive theater arts area called The Workshop. And as that section of the website blossomed, staffers like Tegan McLean began to seriously consider writing and staging a real-life musical.
In the earlier incarnations of the website, we had this idea that the chat room would be kind of an instant playwright situation, and kids would basically in real time act out a scene, and then we would be the editor and sit there and edit their lines as they were coming in and generate the script that way, and that did not work at all.
It looked beautiful. It was, you know, definitely interactive, and I can say it was, for the most part, pretty much a failure. So, but that's okay.
And what we discovered was another mistake on our part, which was kids are really good at being kids, but they're really not playwrights, and they're really not musicians. And if we continued with that idea, we would have made a play, or they would have made a play that wouldn't have served them well.
We kind of regrouped and decided that it would be easier if we were steering the kids by asking them questions about something. Otherwise, we're getting stories about princesses and castles and things like that, not real life.
You know, we'd say, here are the 3 ideas we've had for Thomas. Can you write us something that's the length of something you read in TV Guide to describe the scene that would happen? Okay, they could get behind that idea. I think Thomas should fill in the blank. And then once you got 3 of those ideas, you could say, now just write 8 lines of dialogue that would give us an indication of what this exchange would be like. And by taking these tiny little pieces, they were basically enticed into participating.
You know, they'd given them names and ages and illnesses, but that's all they'd done. They said, you know, start giving these characters faces and, you know, create their background.
They said, her name's Amy, she's 16, and she has lupus. Now tell us about her. And what it was, what are her parents' names? Does she have brothers and sisters? What are her likes and dislikes? What symptoms does she have? What is her biggest complaints and fears and things like that?
The executive director of SJCMT, Michael Mulcahy, decided to take the plunge and commit to staging a full-length musical based on the Convo website. He gave his creative team 1 year to complete the musical.
We booked the theater. We had no show. We had nothing. But we said we're doing it, and we're doing it 1 year from this week. We're doing it in 52 weeks.
With the premiere date set, the show still lacked the one thing that all musicals cannot do without: music. A composer and lyricist was needed to bring the characters to life. SJCMT didn't have to look far. Kem Hauge is an award-winning composer and Kevin Hauge's brother. Kem immediately saw the potential for great theater in the stories generated by the Convo Maniacs, and he was intrigued by the prospect of turning the stories into a musical.
I would do my work and get to know the kids more by reading transcripts of their chats. And Tegan McLean would copy the transcripts, and she would highlight any information that was relevant to what I was doing, and then she'd send it over to me. I had to be kind of clinically objective, you know, in order to present their story without making it too, again, you cannot make it maudlin, you can't make it sad and pathetic, or, you know, they will be furious with you.
Once he came on board, things became fast and furious, I'll tell you. We were getting a lot of work done very quickly, and in fact, as you can imagine, to write the score of a full-length musical in less than a year is a pretty gargantuan process, and you just kept cranking it out.
Everybody that works there said, challenge them, throw everything at them. So, I didn't tone down. I didn't make it easy for them, but I did have to sometimes make the range a little smaller. That's pretty much all that I did. I didn't write children's music. I didn't write, oh, these are kids that are going to sing it, so let's make it real easy and simple. I did not do that.
The first song Kem wrote was called The Power of Thomas. It features a young boy coping with bone cancer. Thomas sings about the struggles that kids face as patients in trying to get information and be involved in decisions about their treatment. For this song, Mike was a critical part of the creative team. He used his own struggle with cancer to advise Tegan, Kem, and the actor playing Thomas.
I was able to give a lot of background information on the character and how he would come online and ask me for suggestions and tell him how to do this, how to do that, how to act and make it seem realistic that he'd lost his leg.
That little piece will forever be one of my favorites. It's an epic, really, and it's one of those few pieces of music I've ever seen written where it really it really captures the joy of a young person so well, I think.
And that is one of my proudest accomplishments. That song is excellent. It really tells an important story about, kid or no kid, I have to be involved in my own healing.
Thomas, Carol has a new digital camera down at the nurse's station. Why don't you go down there and have your photo taken for our web page?
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay if I borrow this? I want to scan it, because no one online believes me that you went on a dinosaur dig.
Sure, Thomas. Mike, could I see you for a minute? I'd like to show you the difference in these here.
Oh my God, the door's shut. They're trying to lock me out. Well, it won't work. Little do they know. I've got a special something buzzing all around my brain. No, it's not cancer. It's a good thing. I'm not trying to complain. It's a secret. It's a skill. A little talent I possess. I be modest cause my talent's more than little I confess. I have a power like ESP, but it's not. I have a power like perfect pitch, but it's not. It's a gift. Don't ask me how or who or when or where or why. It's my power, it's my gift. You can't taste it, touch it, smell it. It's not visible to the naked eye. Can't tell you where it came from. Roswell offers its denials. If I had to, I would blame some creepy ET from X-Files. Now you're curious, I see. You're wondering what's inside of me. Just relax and all the facts I will recite from A to Z. Remember Superman? You know he runs, he lives, he flies, but that's not all he can. Remember he has X-ray eyes. He can look at all those nurses there and see them in their underwear. But you can't chill, that's not my skill. There's not the slightest chance. And if I could, I know I would not want to see your underpants. I have a power like Superman has no fears. I have a power. The Man of Steel and I are peers. Yes, Clark Kent may have the eye thing, but the special power I bring is none other than Thomas's X-ray ears. That's right, I hear things. I can hear through things. I hear a pin drop in Phoenix. It's the 9-pin there. Down in LA, Sonia's extensions pull out her hair. In Atlanta, Ted has intentions of giant a pal. Thomas! Huh? Are you deaf? What do you mean? I called your name like 3 times. Oh? Yeah. Well, I was tuned to a different frequency. I know more or less, but I can guess what they're saying about me, making plans without me like this.
Surprise, the news is good.
What do you mean?
His current x-rays are clear.
Explain it if you would.
And the blood screens show there's nothing more to fear.
You're telling me he's in remission?
No, I'm not. It's the first case of a new condition.
Now what has he got?
It's called the absolute reversal syndrome.
Please tell me more.
When we pack him up to go home, he'll be better than before. He'll be written up in journals. He'll be labeled Super Kid, representing hope eternal for the magic that we did. His muscles, his reflexes were hyperstimulated. His solar plexus feels as if it has been steel-plated. He'll have the moves to be a pro in any sport he'll choose. By the way, Nike called, they want to use his name on all their shoes.
Here, Thomas, I can't believe this.
Good thinking, Dad. I got carried away. It is doubtful my prognosis would change that much in just one day. The conversation's probably going more like this.
I just received confirmation.
Confirming what?
Dramatic deterioration.
But
And that is not the worst. A virus has mutated and attached itself to Thomas first. Now treatment is more complicated.
just take him home.
Kept in solitary confinement would be most advantageous. This airborne virus represents the extreme of contagion.
No human contact. They will lock me in total isolation, eating Brussels sprouts and broccoli for dessert, just radiation. Then one day a note will come. There's nothing more that can be done. I'll be lying in my bed, just waiting for the day I'm dead. Hey, wait a minute. I don't want to do this. I cannot go through this. I will not be sent out anymore. When you talk about my case, you must do it to my face. Don't just smile and send me out the door. If I'm going to die, then tell me. Even if I cry, still tell me. If I only got a year, a month, an hour, when I hear it, then I have the power.
Thomas, you're back.
I'm gonna die, right?
No, I don't think you're going to die. But I do think that we may have to consider amputation.
Incidentally, the actor who played Thomas's father was my own brother, Brad Benning, and I have to say he did a great job. We will be right back with more of Pulse, but first, I hope you'll take this opportunity to support your local PBS station. Thank you.
Public Television. This is KTE8 San Jose, Channel 54.
Pulse the musical was initially created in cyberspace. All of the information was exchanged by computer, sending and receiving messages at the Convo website. But in October of 1997, Apple Computer arranged a weekend gathering in Breckenridge, Colorado for the online kids. This was the first time many of them would meet their Convo friends face to face. The weekend was spent talking, building relationships, and having some fun in the great outdoors.
That was weird. I've never done that before.
You are so awesome, Shelley.
Hi.
Then, a week later, many of the Convo maniacs traveled to San Jose Children's Musical Theater for a 3-day readers' workshop. It was time for the kids to see a first draft of the musical that they had helped create. And for the actors and creative team, it was time to get some very important feedback from the Convo kids.
But to the point that it's going to be a stronger community. Exactly. Yeah.
To realize for the most part, for instance, that the kids that had come to us from out of town were much more mature and much more straightforward, and were very comfortable letting us know what they needed, or what they wanted, or what wasn't working. You could clearly see that their life experience had brought them a completely different way. That was the most interesting part about seeing those two groups of kids together. I don't think that was lost on anybody.
And we wanted them to verify that we were, yes, on the right track, or that what we were doing was phony, or, you know, we wanted them to help us make it ring true and be true.
During the workshop, the Convo kids began to realize that their input was going to be critical to the success of the musical. For many of them, it was also the first time they believed their stories would actually be performed in front of a real audience.
The big talk, you know, when we had our musical weekend was what characters, we couldn't keep all of them as major characters, so we had to cut some down and bring some up, and who would become our leads and why. And lots of argument and lots of disagreement, of course. But I think the way they chose to do it really is the best.
I always love the one, you know, Amelia, who is never short for opinions, who, I think for all of them, but I'll use she as an example, comes into the weekend. She had contributed so much and many times, and comes to the weekend and spends a lot of time during that workshop session letting us know what is working, what isn't working, where she thinks we need to go, really questioning whether this was going to come off with any credibility.
By the end, I think there was not a dry eye for one of the 12 of us, because it was amazing to sit back and see our lives just put up on stage and have them be so honest and so amazingly right on.
This girl came up to me and said, you know, I'm doing Amy, and will you tell me about lupus, first of all? So I started telling her, and then she brought over this binder, and she had looked up all this information on the website and printed it out and like gotten all this information about lupus, and it was really like, it meant a lot to me because she had taken the time to really find out about her character, and it showed that it was more to her than just a play or just another musical.
I live in San Francisco. I'm 16 and I have lupus.
What do you mean, Braveheart?
Braveheart, when was your transplant?
6 months ago. Since I got it, I like stuff I never used to.
Who is your donor?
That's the old owner of mine.
The doctor's shower is right behind that wall. Yours reads me the speech, I can't make out which one is which.
Why me? How can any good come out of this? Why me? This is not something you can dismiss. God, if you hear me, you've just got to explain why so many who would hear me are gone. Well, I remain.
The songs presented to the Convo kids at the San Jose workshop were works in progress, but they would become the heart of the final production.
And at the end of that weekend, the Convomania kids told us they get it.
After that weekend, I did carry a stronger sense of responsibility to them because they now had faces for me.
Amelia was one of the faces that stood out from the crowd. Her input so impressed the theater group, they invited her to join the production staff of the musical. She moved to San Jose and joined the team, eventually becoming a member of the Pulse cast. On opening night, Amelia received a special honor from the theater group, the Gypsy Robe. It is a high honor, traditionally given to the cast member who most contributed to an SJCMT production.
I'd like to introduce to you Amelia Stevens, the recipient of the Gypsy Robe for this production. Please put your hands together.
Hey, Angela, how you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you?
Ooh, actually, I'm having one of those days.
Really? Why?
Just a lot of little things. You know how it is.
No, but you can tell me if you want to.
Ha! You'd be bored stiff.
This is boring. Turn on the TV, talk upon the phone, go online, read a book. This defines my world. These are my connections. This is what I've got. They're very pale reflections. Real life, they're not.
The idea was focusing on someone that was spending way too much of their childhood not having one, and the four walls being a hospital. And as a result, her closest friends, in fact, being a nurse.
Many of them would tell us that the nurse was the person they are closest to, especially as they got sicker. They're spending more time with the nurse than they're spending with their own family sometimes. And the nurse is really their link to the outside world, and they become very close to the nurse and to the nurse's family, asking a lot about what's going on, you know, in the nurse's personal life.
Remind me what the world is like, refresh my memory. Help me to recollect real life, not fantasy. You be my eyes, you be my ears. Tell me the days of your life, don't make me turn on tears. Remind me what the world is like, refresh my memory. It's hard to go each day looking out a window upon the third story. Tell me, tell the world to me.
The nurses who helped Mike through his many hospital stays made such an impact that he decided to follow the same career path. Mike is now studying to become a nurse, and he wants to specialize in pediatric oncology so he can help other kids going through cancer treatments.
The doctors and nurses that I had treated me like an actual human being instead of just another patient. I've actually gotten to be quite close to some of the doctors and nurses that I've had.
Bye.
You are so funny, Jorge. I love you.
Really? You love me? Well, then how about going out with me this Saturday? Let me take you out to dinner, Alicia. I could take you to this beautiful French restaurant, and then we could go for a walk.
In the moonlight with the stars twinkling and everything.
Yeah, I bet you're even more beautiful in the moonlight. And then we could go to Navy Pier.
Or Lincoln Park. It's really romantic by the water.
Okay, we'll go there. I'll get my cousin to drive us. It's a date.
Jorge, you're crazy. You and me on a romantic walk in the moonlight. Can you just see me walking alongside of you, holding your hand in a barefoot in a beautiful dress while you're, what, four-wheeling through the sand?
Yeah. It's pretty funny when you think of it that way, isn't it? You better get to class, Alicia. You're going to be late.
Well, what about you?
Oh, I'll be along in a sec. I can't get tardies because of the chair. Just tell the teacher I got a flat tire or something. Teachers don't know.
He's disappointed because he is 14, which, as most of us know, means he's glands on legs, or in his case, glands on wheels. That's how I describe Jorge. And he wants a girlfriend. And he is afraid that the wheelchair will keep that from happening. And so he does the song Freak.
Kids are so frank, they can be brutal. They can be brutal. And their frankness is so refreshing in so many ways. But it can also be really hurtful. And I think the frankness of the song was perfect because it speaks to the way that they feel. I think that was sort of dead on.
That was a song that generated a lot of response from the kids, and they didn't like it at first. They didn't want for us to be using the word freak in relation to them because they didn't want us to be suggesting that maybe they think that they're freaks. And I think they didn't want for the rest of the world to look at them like that. But it was definitely a very powerful song, and when the kids saw it and heard it for the first time, we had kind of a real decided split. People who either said, that's me, I've had to deal with that, I've had those emotions before, and other people who didn't want to talk about that and didn't like the idea of something so old being associated with their illness.
Freak! I'm a freak, I'm a freak, I'm a motorized geek, a flake, a mistake, and a joke of the week. Alicia, a real hottie, a pretty face and a tasty body. She is nice, she's so fine, she would not ever be mine, 'cause I'm a freak. I'm a freak, I'm a freak, I'm a motorized geek. No way, you say, and then you turn away. But it is only truth I speak, 'cause I'm a, that's right. You know they say Jorge, he's a hell of a guy, rolling around on a natural high. He's a joke, he's a laugh, he's a barrel of fun. All the girls love to play, but not one-on-one, 'cause I'm a, well, look at that child. When I try to be smooth or to be sincere, and I look in her eyes, all I see is fear. And they're cold, like steel, like the wheel on the chair I ride. If I was bold or real, would not connect, no matter what I tried, 'cause I'm a... So freak out, girls, 'cause I'm on the prowl, a morning flare and a midnight owl. You better run, you better hide, 'cause if you had to take a ride, you might. That guy in the wheelchair, he's so funny, he's great, and he's a freak.
In Pulse, the characters seem to take on a life of their own. Cassie is based on several real-life kids who have cancer and are struggling with chemotherapy. The physical stress they face is tough enough, but for teenagers, the effect that a serious illness has on your social life can be equally devastating.
Certainly, when Cassie first comes home from the hospital, she's thrilled to be back, and she wants to immerse herself in her old life. And as she calls up all her friends and tries to set up dates to get together, she finds that their lives have gone on without her, and they are as busy as she once was and don't seem to have the time for her anymore.
Over time, as I wasn't well enough to go to things, people sort of started to forget about me and forget to invite me to things, and so I started being less and less involved in friendship circles and things like that.
Cassie's big number is Sinking Like a Stone. The song developed a special meaning for director Kevin Hauge. His wife, Chris, was diagnosed with breast cancer on opening night.
It's the song now that, since Chris has gone through cancer, really, that I was telling you about, it's the one at our house that has completely changed meaning for us, every day, really. Because so many of the lyrics speak to Chris and I so much. Like she would always sing when she was sick, and we would listen to the music, and there's that line in there that says, I've become a project, a good deed to be done. And we have so many people that helped us and have meant so much to us through the crisis. And there are so many phrases in that song now that are so real to us.
Montfort residence.
Hey, Liz.
Cassie? Oh my God, I was just thinking about you. How are you?
Well, my counts are up.
Oh?
That means I'm doing better, Liz.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
So what's up with you?
Well, my dad brought home a bootleg copy of Titanic from the studio.
Oh my God. I love Titanic. I am so in love with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, you want to come over and watch it? It's not the same as watching it on a big screen, but we can replay the best scenes.
That sounds so fabulous.
What time?
I would love to.
Yeah?
But I can't. Allie and I are going to the mall. Nordy's shoe sale.
If we don't go tonight, everything cute and life-size will be gone. I just know it.
Well, maybe tomorrow night?
Sorry. There's a party at Adam's. No parents.
Well, what about next weekend?
Shoot! Family trip to Disneyland. I'm sorry, Cassie, but I'm totally booked right now. And I haven't even started studying for SATs yet.
I understand. Just call me when things calm down, okay?
Okay, you know I will, Cassie. You're on my list. Hope you feel better, okay?
Okay.
Bye.
I've become a project, a good deed to be done. Cassie's now an object, a halo to be won, and I've dropped into the deep end, and I'm sinking like a stone. The lower I descend, the more I am alone. Yes, I'm sinking like a callous disregard, my flawed character I inflict on toothpaste smiles so bright and hard, in futures easy to predict. Envy overtakes me, resentment coupled with regret. They are who I used to be. They are who I would be. And I dropped into the deep end, and I'm sinking like a stone. The lower I descend, the more I am alone. Yes, I'm sinking like a stone.
Somebody else get that, please. Cassie has it.
Hello? Oh, yeah. She's here. But she might be sleeping though. Let me check. It's Dana.
Hi, Shayna.
Hey, girl. I got your message. I'm so glad you're feeling better.
I was a while ago, but now I'm kind of tired again.
Well, is it still okay if I come over?
I'm not up for a visit.
Come on, Cass. It's me. I'll come over. We'll hang out. How strenuous is that?
I guess I can handle that.
Fabulous. I'll be over in a bit.
And I dropped into the deep end, and I'm sinking like a stone. The lower I descend, the more I am alone. Yes, I'm sinking like a stone, sinking like a stone.
Many of the child actors appearing in Pulse had been in dozens of stage productions and were veteran performers. But for them, Pulse became much more than just another show. In the number Conversation with God, you can see that the actors truly cared about their characters.
You have to imagine what it is like to lay in a hospital bed and have your family give you a kiss because you're going into an operating room to have your heart cut out. And the heart goes to the heart of the show. We call the show Pulse. And your pulse is the rhythm of life is the beat of the heart. This boy was going to have his heart cut out of his chest. I don't care how old you are, the concept is frightening. And so the first half of the song was simply empathizing with him and playing out every emotion that he would go through before, during, and after that event. The second half of the song is very interesting to me because it's one thing we all ask all the time: why me? Why did I have to get this heart problem? But the more painful, more horrifying question would be, why didn't I die?
Fear is cold and lonely, paranoid and strange. You're in your world only, your world's been rearranged. Bedside, all who love you tell you it's alright. Their phony smiles above you, they're hugging you too tight. Very soon your worries take a darker turn. As your fear becomes fury, the fire begins to burn. Your anger reaches white hot as you rant and rave, proving that you will not go quiet to your grave. But lashing out does no good. You fill with guilt and shame. Now you are misunderstood. Depression takes the blame. I wanted to look God straight in the eye, and then I could force him to tell me, why me? Out of all the people on the earth, why me? And tell me, what is one life worth? God, answer me now. I will not back away. My head, I will not bow. My heart, it will not pray. Why me? How can any good come out of this? Why me? This is not something you can dismiss. God, if you're out there, have the courage to explain why life is so damned unfair, why there is so much pain. It's not for lack of trying, I don't understand, but watching kids lay dying, is this what you had planned? If I were God, I am sure I'd find a better way than taking children so pure while evil people stay. Now I am forced to live with debt I can't repay. No one alive can give the heart I took away. The heart that beats within my chest, that's someone else's soul. So now in heaven do they rest, or is that something I stole? I know that I was dying, but then you changed your mind. The question terrifying is, why was I left behind? Troubling questions of faith or despair lay on my chest a weight I cannot bear.
When will I find out how my story ends? If it's cut short or if it extends?
Who will ever love me? Be able to see beyond the chair? Will I be lucky enough to find her somewhere?
What if my love doesn't improve?
How do I use my power? How do I use my voice?
Why me? Out of all the people on the earth, why me? Just tell me, what is one life worth? God, I'm one confused boy, I don't know who to blame. My head is filled with such joy, my heart is filled with shame. Why me? How can any good come out of this? Why me? This is not something you can dismiss. God, if you hear me, you've just got to explain why so many who were near me are gone while I remain. Just listen to my beating heart, pleading now for you to start to answer this plaintive lament. Why me?
I'll be right back with the conclusion to Pulse and more great songs from the musical. But first, please take this opportunity to make a generous pledge to support quality programming like this. Thank you. Once the theater group got to know the online kids, one message came through time and time again. Like all kids, they wanted to fit in and be accepted by their peers. They didn't want their illness to define them or become a barrier to establishing relationships.
Yeah, 'cause it really alienates them when you go and try and treat them special or different or single them out and everything. It's kind of demoralizing.
People sometimes tend to overreact. Like if you tell them I had cancer, they'd, be, I'm sorry, and there's nothing they can really do about it. It's something that happens, and you deal with it from there.
And I think the musical is going to help people to feel like they can discuss it, and they can, walk up to someone in a wheelchair and go, oh, what happened, or be a little more open. Because the funny thing is, when I've learned from talking to kids in combinations, they really want to be asked. It does not bother them at all if somebody comes up and says, why don't you have hair? What happened to you? I always get that from people. If you don't want to talk about it, it's okay. You don't have to tell me. And it's like, I don't mind. I'd rather you know what I know, because then we're going to have a ground to build a friendship on.
Friendship and first love are themes that have meanings for all teenagers. It is no different for the Convo kids, even though the romantic connection sometimes happens over a computer instead of face-to-face. In the musical, Jorge and Angela are the characters who fall in love online.
I think Jorge, like any teenager, is trying out his sexuality and trying to find kind of how much he can get away with and put on a personality that's not necessarily the personality that he lives with every day.
I think it was trying to humanize a character in a wheelchair and try to help you get away from the wheelchair and get more into the fact that it's a 15-year-old boy or a 16-year-old boy or whatever, and make that more the thrust of that character.
Jorge has been instructed by Marcus, the school jock, to be bold, to take a shot, to try to connect with a woman by being bold.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jorge.
Oh.
Who are you?
Cat.
Cat. Cat, you are so fine. One sexy feline. Come crawl right under my arm. 'Cause I am smitten. Such a cute kitten. Come play with my ball of yarn. I'd like to share just one of your 9 lives. I'll pet you and scratch you till nap time arrives. You are so pretty, such a cute kitty. I know that I can make you purr.
Jorge, I'm glad to see you in a doctor's office. And Jorge, I hope you get to see him real quick, because now, Jorge, I really have to tell you now that, Jorge, I think you're sick. Jorge, who told you women get turned on by that crap, or that they respond to all that cheesy, creepy talk? The truth is, Jorge, I'd not so much as sit upon your lap, not even if you could walk. I don't believe what I just said. I didn't mean it quite like that. I'm so sorry, wish I were dead.
That's okay, cat.
No, it's not, I went too far. I overreacted. I'm usually cool.
I'm sure you are.
My tongue should be extracted.
Well, that seems to be a shade extreme.
I apologize right now.
You were just blowing off steam, but I'll accept if one question you'll allow.
Or anything.
Hey baby, do you wanna get lucky tonight? Hey baby, do you wanna get lucky with me? Get lucky with me. Get lucky with...
Oh, Cat, the doctor will see you now. Thank God.
Oh!
Kelly, I'm not sure when the doctor needs to see you again. Let me check for you. All right.
Hi.
Hey.
How'd you hurt yourself?
I got fouled in a basketball game.
Oh, a hoopster?
Yeah.
He shoots, he scores! The girls don't like this bold approach. Maybe I'm coming on too strong. If Marcus were here, he could be my coach and show me what I'm doing wrong. Maybe if I act like I have pride, I'd be one accessible hombre. Being warm might turn the tide. I'll give them Jorge Suave. I'll give them Jorge Suave. Here, let me clear this chair for you.
Thanks. How sweet is that?
Oh, I'm happy to do it for such a lovely young lady.
You are so dear.
You smile and I melt. One look and I felt you were the mate to my soul. My heart's beating wildly. That's putting it mildly. My pulse has gone out of control. I've always been shy near a beautiful girl, but suddenly I could take on the whole world. I can be tender, despite of my gender. Maybe you'd go out with me.
Aren't you a brave boy, full of grace and joy, courageous in spite of your plight? You're an inspiration, your kind invitation sounds like a complete delight. What kind of an outing will we attend? With how many of your poor disabled friends? I'm considering nursing. It'd be like rehearsing. It's quite an opportunity. Thank you.
I got you're disabled, you're responsible. response enabled me to summon up the strength to express a truer description of that special friction and offer to you complete access. Hey baby, do you wanna get lucky tonight? Hey baby, do you wanna get lucky with me? Get lucky with me. Get lucky with me. Tonight!
In this scene, Angela and Jorge meet online for the first time. At first, she's cautious, but eventually the two make a real connection.
It might not necessarily be a kid. It might not necessarily be a sick person. It could be anybody, really. And so she very cautiously, I think, approaches this lurker and tries to draw him out and talk to him. And when Jorge makes his move online and basically tries some inappropriate behavior with her, that's not fiction. That's something that we have seen happen, both people who don't belong on the chat trying to do that, or kids who are just trying to see what they can get away with. And they learn very quickly from the other kids, the way Jorge learns from Angela, that that's not what conversation is about, and that it's really a community there, and people are looking out for each other and not looking for an online sex buddy.
Talk to me, Oz. Are you an M or an F? Oz, Oz.
M.
Oz, till now you've been kind of a joke.
Right back at ya. So we're all alone here.
Yeah, pretty dead.
Are you in your room?
Yes, I'm sitting on the bed.
What are you wearing?
T-shirt and sweats.
And underneath?
That's as far as it gets. You're just what they all said, a real lurker perv.
Yeah, I come in to laugh at all the gimps, the crippled pansies and the fruity wimps. I hate this whole collection of misfits, but the humor factor brings me back, I must admit.
You've worked yourself up into quite a sweat. We struck a nerve, I'm willing to bet. There's more to you from what I heard.
You think I am who? Richard the freaking Third?
Aha! Shakespeare, so you're not dumb.
Shakespeare, yeah, I've read some. You're no slouch yourself to recognize the most twisted monarch that the bar did dramatize.
They talked all night about Shakespeare. They spoke of many other personal things.
That's one of my favorite parts of the show, actually. It gave two characters in the show an opportunity just to show joy. Two characters that supposedly are not as easily able to show joy through their bodies, to be able to put a number together where you're seeing the joy that they have as friends online sort of brought to life with each other, I thought was really a lovely moment of the show. I just love it so much.
She's such an adorable character. She's such a sweet girl. She deserves to have someone fall in love with her. This little girl deserves one night of romance in her life. So we write virtual event that leads to a virtual kiss.
I'll pick you up.
You have a car.
Let's just say I have wheels.
You'll have to come in and face interrogation. That will be tough to begin. You'll be on probation. He will insist on video and photographs. He will persist till Mom speaks on our behalf. Finally, we're out the door and we're on our way. Valentine dance at school, very big deal.
Valentine dance at school, completely cool. I'll hold you by the hand.
At the door we will stand. Everyone looks sweet and cool.
You're the loveliest at school. Shakespeare said love's not time's fool. This time I'm in love.
Friends will gather round us, all hoping to meet you. They look so cute. Look at how they fit together.
And the music round us will almost fade away.
And the lights will dim to a very pale rosé.
My pulse will start to race. You'll look right up at me as I brush the hair up off your face and we begin to dance. Then I'll hold you very tight, and before we say goodnight, I will make sure it's alright. I will kiss you. I will kiss you. I will love you.
We always knew that someone was going to have to pass away in the course of the show if we wanted to tell an honest overview of the experience of these kids, just as we lost kids along the way in the writing of the show. So one of the conversations online quite a bit, as you can imagine, was who is it that we are going to lose?
But we had big discussions, bordering on arguments, I would say, online through email and in chats about which character would be the one to go. And the reason was because the kids had gotten so attached to specific characters. If there was a character that mirrored their reality, they would relate to that character and consider it them. Or if there was a character that mirrored a friend's reality, they would consider that character to be their friend.
Angela is afraid that she is a 13-year-old girl. She didn't have enough impact on the world to be remembered. And Rosemary assures her that that's not the case, that a soul as sweet and a life force as dear as hers was bright enough to have some staying power. And that's what we tried to write.
You'll be remembered by the world. The world is an enormous what I am
not as magic as you are.
I'm not afraid to say goodbye, but scared they'll forget about me.
The beauty,
my voice, the beauty, my heart. We race toward the future, and I find I've had a head start.
bright as the sunrise.
But once more I will ask of you, tell the world of me. It's strange what good luck will have to bring. Is my gift, my legacy. Please, Rosemary, will you carry me? Tell the world of me. Please tell the world just who I was and that I was. Please do it because luck keeps on closing her eyes.
Not long after it took shape, one of those kids who we had become, and the community had become very close to, died. And they said the simple thing to do and the right thing to do is to hold an online celebration of this girl's life. And that's how we mark it.
It's a time to get online and to share memories.
These online memorial services started in 1997 with the death of a much-loved Convo kid. Sarah lived in California and had cystic fibrosis, the disease shared by the character in the musical, Angela. Sadly, Sarah wasn't the last friend the community lost to illness. Saying a final goodbye to an online friend is explored in the song, Stand Up.
When you sing the song Stand Up, I want you to put somebody into your head. Could be anybody. When I wrote the song, it was my mom. But when you sing it for somebody that you love, maybe somebody that you lost. And if you do that, the performance will be very powerful for each and every one of you. Thank you.
I want to celebrate her life lost. I want to remember her with joy. But just like a September frost, her illness did destroy. Our luck has run out. Our luck has run out. Our luck has run out. I can't get past my sorrow. I can't help but to feel sad. Death has come to borrow the sweet life, for she's made life, for she had. Our luck has run out. Our luck has run out. Our luck has run out. Wait a minute, this is not right. Snoopy deserves much better. She was funny, she was bright. I've been happy since I met her. There must be something that we can do to honor her and show respect. Acknowledge all she's been through. Acknowledge her Stand up. Stand up. Stand up for Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you know is true.
true.
Don't wait for life to get started.
And put your heart in everything you do. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you know is true. Don't wait for life to get started. And put your heart in everything you do. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you know is true. Don't wait for life to get started. And put your heart in everything you do. Stand up for she was stand for
The audience is going to be, I think, a little bit disturbed, actually. Because there's some things that are put on stage that people don't want to think about, they don't want to know about, and they don't want to really accept as things that happen. And I think with Pulse, it's going to be brought up to them about how kids are sometimes treated, and how the kids sometimes feel about how they're treated.
I definitely want audiences to come away seeing that we're not kids to be felt sorry for, that we have a lot of hope and a lot of faith and a lot of strength.
The courage of Thomas to stand up for himself, that we all need to have in any situation. The courage of Angela to face her own death, to talk about it. Courage is, it's the theme. I really, my own personal belief, courage is the theme that we should address every day.
Always say is I see way too many people underestimating the power of a kid. You know, I think lots of teachers do it. I think lots of parents do it. And I think that we cannot do that to them because we limit them.
First and foremost, Pulse was, in my opinion, just terrific theater. And if it wasn't terrific theater, none of the other purposes that Pulse was trying to serve could have ever been achieved. People saw Pulse, and what they saw was things that they don't typically associate with seriously ill kids. They saw humor, they saw sexuality, they saw almost every emotion you can imagine, and dancing and singing, and these are not things you associate with kids in hospitals. And yet all of it was true, and all of it hit the audience in a way that they knew they had seen great theater.
Pulse is a theater production that changed lives because it reflected the true stories shared by the Convo kids. For a time, the cast, crew, and audience became part of the Convo community. It is a place where amazing acts of strength, honesty, and friendship are routine. It is a place we wanted you to know about. The musical is called Pulse. The website that started it all can be found at www.convonation.org. Take a moment to visit the online group if you or someone you know is dealing with a serious illness or disability. And now, the final song of our musical. It's called Journey of the Snow.
High on a mountaintop, ringed by the clouds, a peak capped with snow stands cold and proud. As the earth moves closer to the golden sun, the journey of the snow has just begun. From under the cap drips the melting snow, trickling down the mountain, finding where to go. It meets up with a stream and drops into the flow, swiftly down the mountain on the journey of the snow. Traveling on, making changes. Things don't disappear, they just rearrange.
Traveling on, making changes. Things don't disappear, they just rearrange.
Toward the equator, the moving on. It may be hard to see, but it's still not gone. The cloud floats along until it bumps against the mountain, ending my song. Snows come round again, and just like that snow upon that mountain top, our friendship will exist, it will never stop. Traveling on, making changes, things don't disappear, they just rearrange. And the journey is a circle, it never really ends. And just like that circle, we'll always be friends.
Watch for Pulse in a children's theater near you. And don't forget to take your own children to the theater. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Annette Benning. Goodbye.
It's a tremendous irony, it seems to me, about this warm and wonderful show that with all of its dealing in depth with pain and difficulty and even ultimately death, this show nevertheless emerges as a real celebration of life and the celebration of the power of those kids about whom it was made and by whom it was made to overcome those kinds of obstacles and continue forward, to keep moving.